The Gemara in Ksubas on Ayin Zayin Amud Beis is discussing the disease of Ra'asan. Ra'asan is spelled Reish Aleph Saf Nun. It is the worst form of tsaras. The Gemara is not discussing the tsaras of the spiritual tsaras that we're discussing in the Chumash, but rather the disease, the physical disease, the skin disease of Ra'asan, which is tsaras. You may be familiar with Ra'asan. It's mentioned in Rashi and Chumash in Parshas Lech Lecha, when Paro gets tsaras for having taken Sarah. So Rashi over there says that he was laka b'ra'asan. That's what he got. So the Gemara here says that Ra'asan is a very contagious disease. Machriz Rabbi Yochanan announced, he's haru mizvuve shal Bali Ra'asan. Be careful from the flies of the Bali Ra'asan. The flies, Rashi explains, can take the disease from one person to another. So if you see flies on the Bali Ra'asan, stay away from those flies. Rabbi Zera lo havi Yosef bezike. Rabbi Zera wouldn't sit downwind from the Bali Ra'asan for fear that the wind would carry the disease from them to him. Rabbi Lazar lo ayel be'ahale. Rabbi Lazar wouldn't go into the same ohel, the same tent, the same room as the Bali Ra'asan for fear of catching the disease. Rabbi Ami Rabbi Asi lo havu achli mi bei dahu mavua. They wouldn't eat from the eggs that were laid in the same mavui, in the same neighborhood, the same area as the Bali Ra'asan. So clearly, from all these Amoraim, we see it's a very contagious and dangerous disease. Rabbi Yoshuab Levy michrich buhu. Rabbi Yoshuab Levy would join together with them, va'asik b'Torah, and he would learn Torah with them. So he was apparently unconcerned, and he would study with them. He would be together with them. Michrich is a language of being very close. It's the same word as korech that we have on Pesach, when you make a sandwich between the matzah and the maror, to be very close together. So the Gemara says, why? Amar, he said, the pasuk says, Ayalas ahavim v'yalas chen, that the Torah it brings chen, it brings favor to the person who learns it. He says, Im chen ma'ale alayim deha, if it brings chen, if it brings favor to the person who learns it, aguni lo migna, don't you think it's going to protect the person? It's going to protect the person who studies it, and therefore he's not afraid of catching the disease. So what does that mean? Rashi explains, a very important Rashi. Rashi says, nidbak etzlam, he would get close to them, b'shah sha'isek b'Torah, when he was studying Torah, umoshivan etzlo, and he would sit them with him, umuvtachu shetagan hatara alav v'lo yizok. And he was muvtach, he was sure, he was certain, he had bitachon, that the Torah would protect him and he would not be hurt. So the Rashi seems to be emphasizing that he had bitachon, that he was certain, he believed firmly the Torah would protect him. Now this concept that the Torah protects a person, and protects not just the person who's learning it, but protects his neighborhood, protects all of Klal Yisrael, that is, throughout Shas, you find the concept that Torah, learning Torah protects. It's a shmirah that we have. Perhaps the greatest shmirah that we have is learning Torah. But here, Rashi seems to be bringing out a more direct point. Heard recently from my Rabbi, Rav Tzvi Berkowitz, based on a Rabbeinu Yoina, that when there is a bitachon, when there's something that the Gemara says that if you do this, so you can be certain such a thing will happen. That the more a person believes in the hashkacha of Hashem, the more a person believes in that which Hashem says is going to happen, then the more potent that guarantee is. And here it seems that's what Rashi is bringing out as well. Rashi is saying that Rabbi Yoshuab ben Levi was certain, he believed strongly in this havtacha, in this guarantee that the Torah would protect him. You have to say something like that, because otherwise, what does it mean? The other Amoraim, they didn't think the Torah would protect them? They're all frightened of this disease, for good reason. It's a dangerous disease. And yet Rabbi Yoshuab ben Levi is the only one who joined together with the Bali Ra'asan. It seems that his bitachon, his belief in this protection was very, very strong, and that's why he was able to do it. Okay, that's what the Gemara says. That's Rabbi Yoshuab ben Levi. Now, to give you some context, Rabbi Yoshuab ben Levi is a very, very early Amora, or late Tana. He's mentioned in the Gemara many, many times. He is mentioned in at least one Mishnah in Shas, the very last Mishnah in Shas. Rabbi Yoshuab ben Levi is mentioned there, so it seems that he is a bridge between the Mishnayos and the Gemara, between the Tanaim and the Amoraim. What happens with Rabbi Yoshuab ben Levi? So the Gemara tells us a fascinating story about Rabbi Yoshuab ben Levi at the end of his life. The Gemara tells us that Ki Ava Shachiv, when it was time for Rabbi Yoshuab ben Levi to die, when his time was up in this world, Amru Leila Malach HaMaves, so the Bezdin upstairs, the court upstairs, said to the Malach HaMaves, Zil Avele Ruse, go do what you have to do to him. You have to kill him. It's time for him to die. That's what the Malach, the angel, is supposed to do. Azal, the Malach HaMaves, went, Ischazile, and appeared to Rabbi Yoshuab ben Levi. So he says, okay, it's time to die. Now most people, when the Malach HaMaves appears to them, that's the end. There's no more conversation. That's the end of the line. But in this case, Rabbi Yoshuab ben Levi says, not so fast. Amrlei, achvili duchtai, show me my place in Gan Eden. I want to know where am I going? You're taking me on a trip? I want to know where I'm going. Amrlei, lachi. So the Malach HaMaves said to Rabbi Yoshuab ben Levi, fine. Somehow Rabbi Yoshuab ben Levi was able to control what the Malach HaMaves was going to do. He was able to dictate what this story would be here. Amrlei, so Rabbi Yoshuab ben Levi said to the Malach HaMaves, Havli sakinach, give me your sword. Dilma meva'asis li b'ursa. Maybe you'll scare me on the way, and you'll kill me on our way there, wherever there is, wherever they're going. So maybe you'll kill me on the way. So give me your sword. Yava nihila. So the Malach HaMaves gave him his sword. Now we have to understand that although this is clearly something which we don't understand most of what's going on over here, however, it is clear from the Gemara throughout Shas that the method, the item that is used by the Malach HaMaves to kill is the sword. Not necessarily through the way we use a sword, but the sword is his weapon. So when Rabbi Yoshuab ben Levi takes away the sword of the Malach HaMaves, that means no one in the world could die, because the Malach HaMaves didn't have his sword, whatever that means. But Rabbi Yoshuab ben Levi now has not only kept the Malach from killing him, but also has kept him from killing anybody. Kimatan Lahasam, when they got there, at this interface between this world and the next world, Dalia, so the Malach HaMaves lifted up, it sounds like he lifted up the partition to show Rabbi Yoshuab ben Levi where he would be in the next world. Kamachvile, he showed it to him. Shavor nafalahu gisa. So Rabbi Yoshuab ben Levi, he took the opportunity and he jumped to the other side. He's now in the next world. He's not here anymore. He's in Gan Eden. He's no longer in this world, but he didn't die. Nakte bekarna de glime. So the Malach HaMaves grabbed Rabbi Yoshuab ben Levi by the corner of his cloak in order to kind of pull him out. Amarle, so he said to him, Rabbi Yoshuab ben Levi said, B'shvu'asa d'layasina. I swear I'm not coming out. I'm here. That's it. I'm not coming out again. In other words, I'm not going to die the way people die. I'm simply going to go from this world to the next world seamlessly, no death, which is really what was supposed to happen before there was death in the world. Before Adam Harishon ate from the Eitz Hadas, it was supposed to be a seamless transition from this world to the next. Rabbi Yoshuab ben Levi jumps from here to there. Amar Kutshabrichu, Hashem says, now Hashem gets involved, and he says, I isshel ashvuasa nihader, ilo nahader. So, does Rabbi Yoshuab ben Levi get to stay where he is? Well, he says it depends. If in his lifetime, whenever he took an oath, he never undid that oath. As you know, we have the concept of hataras nedarim, where one could remove an oath, which we do before Rosh Hashanah. And if Rabbi Yoshuab ben Levi ever in his lifetime took an oath and then had it removed, well, then he's got to get this one removed too, and he's got to come out. But if in his lifetime he never did that, then his oath stands and he does not come out of Gan Eden. He stays where he is. The Gemara doesn't say that he ever came out, and in fact, in Meseches Derech Eretz and Meseches Kala, Rabbi Yoshuab ben Levi is listed as one of those who went into Gan Eden alive. Seems like he never died. Amar Lei, the Malach HaMavet said to Rabbi Yoshuab ben Levi, okay, fine, you're there, but I have a job to do. My job is to kill people. Have li sakinai, give me back my sword. Lo hava kayayavle. He didn't want to give it to him. Sorry, no more death in this world. Nafka baskala. So a baskal came out, va'amrale, and said to him, have niale, give it to him. Demisma'ana libriyasa, because it's needed for the world. The world can't exist. Death is a necessary part of this world now that we live in it, now that we do have sin, and therefore it is a necessary thing. You got to give it back. Although much of this is, of course, beyond our understanding, but the general gist of the Gemara is clear that Rabbi Yoshuab ben Levi had power over the Malach HaMaves to the extent that he could prevent him from killing himself. He could even prevent the Malach HaMaves from killing anybody in the world, and Rabbi Yoshuab ben Levi was able to move seamlessly from this world to the next. What happened when he got there? Machriz Eliyahu Kameh, Rabbi Eliyahu Navi, announced before Rabbi Yoshuab ben Levi, Panu Makom Lebar Levai, Panu Makom Lebar Levai. Make some room. On the other side, there's a lot of people on the other side. There's more people on the other side than there are here, because you've got generations and generations of people who have died, who are on the other side. So Eliyahu Navi announced, make some room in the yeshiva Shalmala, in the yeshiva upstairs. We got to get a stender for him. We got to find a place for him to sit. Azal Ashkeche Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. So Rabbi Yoshuab ben Levi went and he found Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. Now again, for context, we all know Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, the great Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. He was one of the primary students of Rabbi Akiva. Where is he in terms of generations with Rabbi Yoshuab ben Levi? So Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai is the second to last generation of Tanaim, of the sages of the Mishnah. So Rabbi Yoshuab ben Levi is approximately 2 generations after Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. So he finds Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai. Davi Yosef atlas eser tachtiki Pisa. That he, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, was sitting on 13 beautiful thrones. He was because in Olam Haba, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai is being richly rewarded for the way he behaved in this world, and he was sitting on these beautiful, beautiful thrones. Amar Lei Atu Bar Levi. So Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, who had heard about Rabbi Yoshuab ben Levi, said, "Are you Ben Levi? Are you he? Are you this person?" Amar Lehain, he says, "Yes, I'm Rabbi Yoshuab ben Levi." Then Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai asked him, "Niras keshes biyamecha? Was the rainbow seen in your day?" We know the Gemara tells us that the pasuk really says in Parshas Noach that rainbows are a sign or a symbol that Hashem really would destroy the world, but because of his oath to Noach, he doesn't destroy the world. But there are certain generations with special people in those generations that they're so good, so wonderful, such great tzaddikim that there's no need for the keshes. There's no need for the rainbow. That even without the rainbow, Hashem would never want to destroy that generation because of the people in that generation. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai is one of those people. In his generation, the rainbow was not seen because of him and his son. Their great tzidkus, their great righteousness, meant that there was no need to destroy the world in his day. As an aside, that is why on Lag BaOmer in Eretz Yisrael, it's common that the children play with bows and arrows. The reason for that is because a bow is a bow like, as in a rainbow. Since the rainbow, it just means a half circle, a rainbow was not seen in the days of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, so on Lag BaOmer, which is the yard site of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, they use a bow and arrow to symbolize that point. Be that as it may, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai asked Rabbi Yoshuab ben Levi, was there a rainbow in your day? Amar Lehain, he said, yeah, there was. In Cain, so Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai said back, Iyata Bar Levi, you can't possibly be Rabbi Yoshuab ben Levi, because what I heard about Rabbi Yoshuab ben Levi is so great that, like in my generation there was no rainbow, there couldn't be a rainbow in his generation either. And the Gemara says, Velohi, it's not really so. Really, in the days of Rabbi Yoshuab ben Levi, there was no rainbow, just like in the days of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. Delo Havai Midi, there really wasn't. Elasavar lo but he said, I don't want to take credit for this. Rabbi Yoshuab ben Levi said, I don't want to take credit. What he meant is, it wasn't because of me that there was no rainbow. That's what he meant to say. Okay. Now, let's understand something. In the next world, as we said, there's a lot of people there. And after 120 years, we go to the next world. We're going to meet people. There's a lot of people there, relatives, friends, previous generations. But you don't get to just speak to whomever you wish. The really great ones, they're unapproachable by regular people. The really great ones, they're a burning fire. They're very bright. Several stories in the Gemara throughout Shas where they're inaccessible to regular people because of the way they behave in this world is so great. Their neshamas are so pure that regular people can't access them. Rabbi Yoshuab and Levy was able to access Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, and in fact, the Gemara says that really they were able to sit next to each other. That really there was no rainbow in Rabbi Yoshuab and Levy's day. So we're talking about a very, very special person, Rabbi Yoshuab and Levy, and as we see from as little that we understand about it, but the way that he died and what happened after he died, we see how great he was. We're going to understand this greatness. The Gemara tells us that a few generations later, there was a man by the name of Rabbi Chanina bar Papa. Rabbi Chanina bar Papa, you may know from a siyum, at a siyum of a Masechta, you know that the one who is being Messiah, the one who's ending the Masechta, reads off the bar Papas, the 10 sons of Rav Papa, Chanina bar Papa, Rami bar Papa, Surcha bar Papa, Ada bar Papa, etc. The first one is Chanina bar Papa. That's the person we're talking about here, Rabbi Chanina bar Papa. He is an Amora. He is a sage of the Gemara, and he lives 3 or 4 generations after Rabbi Yoshuab ben Levi. So Rabbi Chanina bar Papa, the Gemara tells us, Shushbine Hava. Now this is hard to understand. He was, literally this means buddies. He was friendly with the Malach HaMaves. We're talking about during his lifetime. Apparently they used to schmooze, Rabbi Chanina bar Papa and the Malach HaMaves. They had some sort of a relationship during Rabbi Chanina bar Papa's lifetime. Well, what happens when someone's really friendly with the Malach HaMaves and then it's time for him to die? Ki hava kanicha nafshe, when it was time for him to die, amru lei lemalach HaMaves. So, same story. Upstairs in the Bezdin Shamala, they said to the Malach HaMaves, Zil avid le ru'usei, go do your thing with him. He's got to die. Azal agabe v'schazile. So he went and he appeared to him. Now again, normally when the Malach HaMaves appears to someone, that's it, game over. But in this case, that's not what happened. Amar le shavki tlasin yoim ad de nahader tamudai. He says, give me another 30 days. I'm not ready to go yet. I need time to review all my learning. 30 days, I'm going to review all my learning, and then you can take me. Damri, because they say, because fortunate is the one who comes upstairs to the next world, and his learning is in his hands. He's got it at his fingertips. So he says, give me another 30 days. Shavke. He left him alone. The Malach HaMaves, it's time for Rabbi Chanina bar Papa to die, and Rabbi Chanina bar Papa says, give me another 30 days. The Malach HaMaves says, okay. And he leaves. He says, I'll see you in 30 days. Again, the Gemara is bringing out the point, as little that we understand about this, but the Gemara is bringing out the point that Rabbi Chanina bar Papa had power over death, power over the Malach HaMaves. Labasa Tlasan Yom, and after 30 days, Azul, he came. The Malach HaMaves came back. Ischazli appeared to him. So, okay, time to die. Nope, not yet. Amalei, achvi li duchtai, show me my place. I want to see it. Same as Rabbi Yoshuab ben Levi several generations earlier. Amalei lachi. The Malach HaMaves said, okay, fine. Again, Rabbi Chanina bar Papa, like Rabbi Yoshuab ben Levi, had shlita, had power over the Malach HaMaves. Amalei, havli sakincha. Well, Rabbi Chanina bar Papa says the same thing as Rabbi Yoshuab ben Levi. Give me your sword. Dilma mivasas libur, so you might scare me on the way and kill me. So I want that sword of yours. So the Malach HaMaves, you can fool me once, but not twice. Amar le kechavercha ba'is lemevadli. You want to do to me what your friend did to me. You're going to take my sword. You're not going to give it back. I'm not giving you my sword. Now, what that means is that the Malach HaMaves did not have to give it up to Rabbi Chanina bar Papa. Even though Rabbi Chanina bar Papa had power over death, over the Malach HaMaves, that he was able to prevent himself from dying for 30 days, and then he was able to demand to see his place in the next world, but he did not have the same level of power over the Malach HaMaves that Rabbi Yoshuab ben Levy did. He could not take away his sword. Amar lei. So Rabbi Chanina bar Papa said to the Malach HaMaves, I see Sefer Torah, bring a Sefer Torah, V'chazi mi'ika midi d'chsiv beit lo kiyamte. See if there's anything in there that I didn't keep. I kept everything in the Sefer Torah. I deserve to have the same power over you as Rabbi Yoshuab ben Levi did several generations before, and should be able to take away your sword. Amar lei. So the Malach HaMaves said to Rabbi Chanina bar Papa, no, there's a difference between you and Rabbi Yoshuab ben Levi. Mi ichrachas bebale rasan v'askas b'Torah. Did you join together with the Baalei Rasan, with those people with the terrible disease, and study Torah? Did you do that? No, you didn't do that. And therein lies the difference between you and Rabbi Yoshuab ben Levi. You're very great. And the Gemara goes on to say even wonderful things about Rabbi Chanina bar Papa. You have power over me to prevent your death for 30 days and to see your place in the next world. But Rabbi Yoshuab ben Levi is greater. And the reason he's greater is because he joined together with the Baalei Rasan and taught them Torah. That's the reason. There's more than the Gemara, but this is what we're going to focus on right here. Now, let's analyze this for a moment. What makes Rabbi Yoshuab ben Levi greater than Rabbi Chanina bar Papa? We're talking about giants. We're talking about people that we can't imagine how great they are. But clearly the Gemara is saying Rabbi Yoshuab ben Levi is greater. What makes him greater? The Gemara says, because he learned with the Baalei Rasan. There's a point, though, over here, which is relevant to us, very relevant to us, and that is the following. Why did he learn with the Baalei Rasan? So we already said before. The reason is because he had bitachon, he was confident in the guarantee from Hashem that Torah protects. And he had that strong bitachon, he had that strong confidence and belief that he would be protected. And that's why he was protected. My question to you is that why he learned with the Baalei Rasan? Did he learn with them because he was confident he'd be protected? Or is it that because he was confident he'd be protected, he was able to learn with the Baalei Rasan? What I mean to say is as follows. A person can be protected and not be afraid of catching the disease, but that doesn't mean that he's going to study with them. Rabbi Yoshuab ben Levi, although he knew he'd be protected, he could have done other things, but he chose to learn with them. What merit is that? What midah, what characteristic is that? Yes, we see bitachon for sure. We see that he believed firmly in the guarantee of Hashem. That's a very wonderful thing. But what midah is demonstrated in that he learned with the Baalei Rasan? And that midah here really is chesed. That's actually what's being demonstrated here. The ability to do the chesed was because of his bitachon. Since he believed firmly he'd be safe, that opened a door for him. Others were not confident they'd be safe. And therefore, the door wasn't open. They couldn't choose to do this chesed. They couldn't study with the Baalei Rasan because they were afraid, and we know a person has to be careful with their health, and they were afraid of the disease, and therefore they couldn't study with the Baalei Rasan. Rabbi Yoshuab ben Levi, he was confident. He knew he'd be safe. That enabled him, that opened the door, but he still had to choose to go through the door. He had to make the decision that now that I am different than others, I'm not afraid of studying with them, I will study with them. That next step, I will study with them, is motivated by chesed, or by a sense of achrayus, of responsibility, but he took the opportunity that he had and he used the opportunity. A door was open to him that was open to no one else. And he chose to go through that door and take the responsibility and do the chesed of studying with the Bali Ra'ah son. And therein, the Gemara tells us, is the difference between him and Rabbi Chanina Bar Papa. Rabbi Chanina Bar Papa did not study with the Bali Ra'ah son. Now, we don't know why he didn't. Was it because he didn't have the bitachon? He wasn't sure, he wasn't confident, just like the other Amoraim before, as great as they were, but they had a sense of, a little bit of a sense of a fear over here? Or did he not feel he needed to do it? We don't know why he didn't do it. We're certainly not going to judge a man as great as Rabbi Chanina Bar Papa. But the Gemara tells us that that's the difference between him and Rabbi Yoshuab ben Levy. So Rabbi Yoshuab ben Levy, he is given an opportunity no one else is given, and he seizes the opportunity. And this, I believe, is a wonderful lens to use when thinking about the Yamim Noraim, thinking about Rosh Hashanah, the Aseret Yemei Teshuva, and Yom Kippur, this time of year. We are all given opportunities. Each of us has opportunities that others don't have. Some have one type of opportunity, some have another type of opportunity. And the question is, do we use those opportunities? The door is open to us. Do we go through that door? Rabbi Yoshuab ben Levi had a door open to him. He chose to go through the door. He could study with the Bali Ra'ah son, so he did. Do we use the kochos, the strengths, and the opportunities, and the background, and all of the brachos, all the blessings that Hashem has given us, do we use them to the best of our ability or not? That's a very sobering thought at this time of year. It's actually a little bit of a frightening thought. Let's give some practical examples. First, very simple examples. We all know that tzedakah can only be given if a person has money. So if a person has money, well, then they have the opportunity to do tzedakah. A person doesn't have money, they don't have the opportunity to do tzedakah, or at least not on the level, not on the same scale that someone who has money. So that means when someone has money, they were given an opportunity. Then the question is, does one use that opportunity? The door is open. Do they go through the door or not? A person was given a background. A person was given a background due to their upbringing. They were fortunate enough to be born in a way that enabled them to study Torah and become proficient in Torah. That means a door is open to that person that may not be open to others. Do they go through that door? Do they use that opportunity? Do they teach others? Do they study? Do they use the opportunity that they had? All of us, we are given an opportunity. We study Torah, we know Torah, we're taught Torah, we believe in Torah, we know what it says. That's an opportunity that a lot of people out there don't have. They don't know about Torah, they haven't heard about Torah, they didn't study Torah, they don't have the same insight. The Torah tells us all kinds of things, it gives us all kinds of opportunities. We have a shul to daven in. Do we use that shul to daven in? So maybe these days it's harder to come to shul, but we know that we're supposed to daven. We're given all kinds of texts. We have sidurim, we have svarim that are in various languages. We have opportunities that others don't have. Do we seize those opportunities? Opportunities to study, opportunities to daven, opportunities to do chesed. The doors are open to us, and do we make use of those wonderful opportunities that Hashem has given us? But I want to highlight one specific opportunity, and I feel that this is really relevant to us at this time of year with Rosh Hashanah and the Aseret Yemei Teshuva and Yom Kippur, because the truth is that that's what the judgment is about on Rosh Hashanah, and that's what we do tshuva for during Aseret Yemei Teshuva and Yom Kippur. Hashem has given us so much, and how much have we used those things, those brachos, in the service of Hashem? Have we taken what He's given us and used them in His service? That's what Rosh Hashanah is about, and that's what we do tshuva for, because who hasn't fallen short? To me, the most frightening of all opportunities that we have not necessarily used, and also the one that really is within our power to make use of, is the opportunity of time. Time. We were given life. We were given health. We were given the ability to be in this world. To do what? To serve Hashem. To be marbe kvod shamayim, to bring out the honor of heaven. That's what we're here for. That's the only reason why we exist. And we were given that opportunity. And every moment that we exist, every moment that we are here in this world, is an opportunity to serve Hashem. It's an opportunity to serve Him, whether that serving Him is through study or through davening or through chesed or any. There's so many mitzvos out there to grab hold of and do. And the opportunities abound. And the time is available to us. How much of that time have we squandered? How much of that time have we wasted? How much of that time have we spent on worthless, useless things? Time spent doing nothing of value. How much of that time have we squandered in negative things, in things that take us away from Hashem? Time and the ability to use that time is the most special gift and opportunity Hashem has given us. Right now, each and every one of us has time, which means we have opportunity. And there are so many people who don't have time. Those who have already passed away, those who don't know anything about Torah, those who unfortunately are ill and unable to use their time. But people who are in good health and have the time and have the opportunity, that is something which is a very sobering and, as I say, frightening thought. And that is something which one must take stock of this time of year. And that's something that when we make Hashem our King on Rosh Hashanah, what we are saying is, Hashem, I know you are the King. I am your subject. I am expected to use what you have given me in your service. And you have given me wonderful things. You've given me life. You've given me all kinds of blessings. But you've given me time. And that time is to be used in your service, not in my service. That is a very significant challenge, but it's a focus that can make us really take hold of and use the Aseret Yemei Teshuva, these 10 days, in the most significant way that we can. A bracha for everyone, I include myself of course, is that we should use these days to understand where we are in this world, to understand why we're here, to understand the opportunities Hashem has given us, the time especially Hashem has given us, that we can use every moment in the coming year solely in the service of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Everyone should have a ksiva v'chasima tova.